At this point, we have analyzed and examined 3 levels of relationship between us and Hashem, which relate to 3 kinds of relationships that we could have in our lives. So they are the mitzvahs that Hashem tells us to do. If our relationship is based simply on whether we do or do not fulfill those mitzvahs, that implies that there's a fairly superficial relationship. What creates the connection between us? Obedience. What could damage our relationship? Lack of obedience. And that's why we have to recognize that there's something far deeper than that, like the loving relationship between parents and children, or 2 spouses, or really dear friends, who may at some point have had a breakdown in their relationship because they didn't do the things that the other expected, but because their relationship is so deep, they're able to come back from that and to repair the damage, and in fact to deepen their relationship despite the fact that things did not go according to plan. That would be what we call the power of teshuvah. And then we said that there's something even deeper than teshuvah, a deeper level of relationship, which is aligned with the concept of first we have to accept Hashem's authority. Because if we don't accept Hashem's authority, if we don't recognize Hashem, why would we be expected to fulfill what He says? And why would we want to compensate and repair a relationship if we've let Him down? So it's the examination of this level of relationship between us and Hashem, where we accept Hashem's authority, that is the primary theme of Rosh Hashanah, and what makes Rosh Hashanah such a powerful and spectacular day, way beyond the great power of the 10 days of Teshuvah. Think about this for a moment, because on reflection, it actually seems to make no sense. The theme of Rosh Hashanah is declaring Hashem as king. We see that multiple times during the liturgy of Rosh Hashanah, and the attitude that we're supposed to have on Rosh Hashanah. In fact, it's also the historical event that Rosh Hashanah celebrates, which is the creation of the first human being, who turned around to the rest of creation as described in Tehillim and said, "Let us bow to Hashem and acknowledge His authority." Now, in human terms, a king is really a powerless individual, if you think about it, until such time as the nation is willing to accept him as their king. So somebody who walks the streets claiming to be a monarch will give them some medical assistance. In order for a person to truly be a king, there has to be a groundswell of support. In fact, that's why in Judaism, there's no such concept as a dictator. Because if you want to be a king, the Talmud tells us, Ein melech b'lo am, there is no king without a people. And that's why everybody comes together to a coronation and they declare, long live the king, and they make all these announcements, which puts the king into his position, empowers the king. It's their allegiance to him that gives him the capacity to be their leader, to be the king. So yes, the king has tremendous power, and ironically, paradoxically at the same time, none of that power is intrinsically his own. It's the power of the acceptance of the people. How could you possibly say that with regards to Hashem? Surely Hashem is fundamentally powerful, fundamentally great, inherently beyond needing us. So we're going to get up on Rosh Hashanah, and we're going to blow a shofar, which the Talmud says is a means of coronating Hashem as king. And we're going to say the prayers which describe Hashem as our king. And we're going to make declarations like, Meloich al ha'olam kuloi b'chvodecha, Hashem, your dominion should spread over the entire world. And as a result of that, Hashem is going to, so to speak, have power. It's in our hands. We, puny little humans who live, 7, 8, maybe 9 decades? We're going to be the ones who empower Hashem with our limited resources, our very limited insight and understanding. How does that work? And therein lies the secret of the depth of our relationship with Hashem. Because you're right. If we're measuring, there is nothing we have that measures strongly enough or powerfully enough to grab Hashem's attention, much less so to speak, empower him. The message of Rosh Hashanah is that if you dig down to the depths of our soul, you dig deeper than our allegiance to Hashem in action. We're doing what you say, and we're avoiding what you tell us not to do. We dig even deeper than Teshuvah, which is the part of us that is able to reclaim our connection even if we have misbehaved, because we have blood that is thicker than water. In other words, we have a relational connection to Hashem that cannot be disturbed even by poor choices. We dig deeper than that, and we discover the core of who we are, the very spark, the DNA of our soul, and we find that it is a piece of Hashem. We have the power, so to speak, to inaugurate Hashem as king, because at our core, we are one with Hashem. That's what we focus on, discover, and experience on Rosh Hashanah, the core of our being, which is fundamentally, intrinsically part of God's essence.